episode of Badass Engineers. I'm el-Attar, an electronics engineering consultant and your host. And Badass Engineers is, as always, powered by Iris Grassroots Education, powering tech, empowering youth. And today I get to be a fangirl again and speak to Estefannie. Hi, Estefannie.
Hi. Thank you for inviting me today. I'm so excited.
I am so excited. I've been following you for so long, and I'm here to fangirl, and I'm here for it, and I'm just so excited.
Me too. I've been following you for a bit too, so I'm very excited. Thank you.
So I'm gonna actually ask you to introduce yourself, even
Yeah.
though probably everybody knows who you are, but introduce yourself, please.
Okay. My name is Estefannie. I create content online on YouTube, on Instagram, mostly about my projects, like engineering projects, mostly programming, but also a little bit of electronics. And I recently was on a TV show called Revengineers, where we prank people with like big builds and stuff when they do something wrong, like for social justice, not wrong, like, oh, who are we to judge?
For
But
social justice, if somebody
social
stole
justice.
my stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
or if you want to annoy Mark Rober on a bike sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. But basically when people like break social norms, that's when we like prank them. Yeah.
I love it so much. And okay, so just if you haven't seen a Badass Engineers episode before, we've got some questions in the Badass Engineers bag. So we're going to see what comes out and we're going to answer them. But we're also watching your questions live in the comments. If you have anything you want to ask Estefannie, please let us know. Are you
I'm
ready,
ready.
Estefannie?
I'm ready. Let's do
Yes.
this.
Okay, let's do it. What does the bag say today? Okay. So this question says, ooh, okay, we're starting with the big ones today, Estefannie.
I was kind of scared of this bag, and it's confirming my suspicions here.
Okay, well, yeah, maybe we should be a little bit scared. So, one thing you would like to change about the industry, but also one thing you would like to see more of.
Okay, questions.
Yes?
What
Yes?
industry
I know. Okay.
specifically? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's difficult because you're sort of like in the maker space, but also general tech, but also general engineering, but also tech hosting, right? Like you're on TV, on YouTube.
Yeah.
The Venn diagram of Estefannie, please go for it.
Well, I guess like all of them have the same, I don't want to call it issue, but there's not enough female bodied people in
Yeah.
those industries, in all of them. So even like as a creator, and I want to watch more YouTube videos of other creators, I want to find more women like doing what we do, not
Yeah.
like, yeah, like I love like I love like makeup creators, but I would also like to see creators who build stuff with like engineering or programming. There's a few of them, but not enough, where it feels like there's a bunch of men out there, but not women. And of course, in like the regular like software industry,
Yeah.
we all know how it's
Yeah.
also like not enough women. And I mean, it's starting to change a little bit. When I left, we were hiring a bunch of women, but it's still not like 50-50 at all.
I know. And I think so. Actually, let me just read something from the comments because people love us. Hello, Juvaiva. Juvaiva says, I absolutely love what you're doing, and seeing the growth of female engineers makes me super happy. Thank you,
Yeah.
Juvaiva.
Yeah.
Yay.
Thank you.
But yeah, I absolutely sort of hate that it's become this issue where industries are like, our industries are like, yeah, we really care about, we really want some more women in engineering, and I'm like, what are you doing about it? Oh, we're putting them on our magazine covers. I'm like, okay, how
Yeah,
about paying
no.
them the same?
You
How
have to
about
pay them the same. Yeah. It's a little bit difficult to even be in those industries sometimes because like um some people can't help but treat women differently.
Mm,
Like it does feel, at least for my experience, it felt like I always have to prove myself, like continuously prove myself.
yes,
It's exhausting. Like
yeah,
after a while it's like, you know what, like I don't know how many times I have to prove myself, and like my little, like my coworker who has the same amount of years as me here and has done the exact same stuff as me, or maybe even less, I don't know, but like
Yeah.
how can he have more of a voice than me? Like that gets really tiring very fast.
Absolutely, yeah. And for me as well, is I do feel like I do have to prove myself. And sometimes I'm like, well, at least, it's engineering, so facts are facts, and I can show that. But why do I have to, you know, do that to be taken seriously? And the other thing is, I do a lot of diversity work because I care about it, and I love that companies like RS Grassroots Education are empowering that work that I do. Thank you,
Mhm.
guys. But because I do that work, I then get cornered more and more into that, diversity work, and less of the electronics, high speed design, PCBs that can work in space, work that I actually do, the work that I
Yeah.
do most of the week rather than, a little bit of the week. So do you ever feel pushed into that diversity corner?
Well, I don't feel like I am. Well, sometimes it depends on which industry again.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like
Which one?
so I at some point it felt like I was being put in like the female creator role, where if you have a panel they put all the girls together, and it's
Yeah.
kind of like, now we're just talking about what it's like to be a female in this industry, and it's almost tiring because I want to talk about like the stuff that I like.
Yeah.
It's not just about being a woman. So that, but like I feel like that was a little bit more in the past. I do feel like things are shifting a little bit in that industry,
Hmm.
but
Why do
like,
you think
mm,
that is? Like, do you think you've changed something and then you're treated differently, or do you think the industry itself is changing?
I think itself, I don't think I've changed anything myself. I think it's been more, a little bit more understanding, or they've also figured that there's not a lot of value in those kind of, I
Right.
mean, like, I mean, if you want to show equality, then like we want to be in like the same panels as other guys, instead of
Yeah.
like be grouped together like you're different. Well, no, the whole point is that we're not. So that has shifted a little bit. And then when I was an engineer, the one that bothered me the most, but it bothers me because I like doing that, but I know I was giving
Yeah.
those things because I was a woman. I'm a woman,
Mm.
and it's making a UI. So basically, like, oh, you like pretty things, you like pink, you like pretty things, so you probably know how to make a pretty UI. I'm like, no,
Mhm.
actually, there's like that's a huge like own it's on its own career path,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm not well versed in UX or UI, and so I had to learn that on the side while also doing my normal software engineering job, because I was like, oh, I also need to make it pretty because
Oh.
so, and I like, the problem is that I do like it. I did like doing that, but it was like
Yeah.
kind of annoying like to be cornered there, and it's like, yeah, even like when I wanted to collaborate with like a creator, they're like, oh, I have this cool project, can you make the UI? And I'm like, really? Like that's the first thing you can think of that
Mm.
I can help you with, when I've never built a UI on like projects online? Like it just felt weird.
Oh my God. And you know what? Like I hate saying that, but I think I've got to be honest. And even though I'm somebody who's out there and, campaigning for equality and closing the gender pay gap and having, more diversity at all different levels of the organization, I'm also somebody who's caught myself millions of time, unconsciously being biased
Yeah.
against women and against queer people and against disabled people. And I've recently realized I've been hiring for my consultancy, and I've realized, hopefully quickish, that I have an affinity bias towards other people with ADHD. So, so I've
It
just
happens.
been,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So I think recognizing that we all do it, like every single one of us do it, is definitely the first step.
Yeah. Do you feel, how do you hire or go towards more ADHD people? How do you
Ah.
recognize that?
Well, I actually, so I don't ask anybody like, do you have ADHD or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I've had a couple of I've hired a couple of assistants, I've hired a couple of video editors,
Mhm.
and I've also hired a couple of engineers. And some of these jobs sort of require, a lot of let's say like attention to detail, which I am not good at. Okay, I'm really good at being creative, but I'm not good at, picking picking numbers in an Excel spreadsheet or anything like that. And I have realized that I've been really badly hiring people that I've had a better conversation with than can they or can they not do the job, thinking that I've been hiring based on can they or can they not do the job.
Mhm.
But it wasn't always the case. And then later on, I'd realized that, yeah, they all have ADHD.
That's interesting. Wow. Yeah.
Then-
That's cool. That's interesting. I mean, do you think it's more, it could also be that more people are being diagnosed now than before because we're more aware, or I don't know.
Maybe. But I mean, like, what's the percentage? It's definitely not 80% of your employees.
Okay, no, 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 that's
Yeah.
fine.
I've been doing something wrong, guys. I've been doing something wrong, and I'm trying to fix it, and also make sure that everybody, if they've had to leave, for example, they have the support they need to be successful in
Yes.
a different role. So
Right.
we'll see. keep in touch. Stay in touch for updates. But for now, shall we see what the badass engineers bag has for us?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
It's spooky.
Du-du-du-du-du. What does this one say? This one says, "Oh, okay, yeah." Stephanie, I hope you still love me after this.
Oh no! What is this? What were
Okay,
these
so
questions? The bag?
it's just because I sort of know a little bit of the answer for this one, but
Okay.
what was your journey with computer science like? I know it hasn't been necessarily positive,
I
but
mean, journey like from like why I went for that, or just what happened while I was doing it.
I was more thinking what happened while you
Okay.
were doing it, but I'm happy for you to, talk. Why did you want to go into computer science? Because that is a really cool field.
Yeah, I think, I mean, and I think it's sort of relevant because I didn't know I wanted to do any kind of engineering or science growing up because I didn't know anyone. Representation matters. And and also like I had this fear that I was really bad at math, and I actually am
Okay.
not. I
Yeah.
really like
I
math.
thought
Yeah.
I did too, even though, all of my math papers are amazing. I've got 100% on one of my papers for maths A levels, but I thought I was bad at maths.
Me
What's up
too.
with that?
I have suspicion that it also has to do because, I grew up as a female bodied human,
Yeah.
and some people might have been projecting that on me, that, oh,
Mm.
you're just not good at it, you're either good or not. And I, I'm actually really good, but I didn't know, and I believed it for most of my formative years. And it wasn't until like college, when I took some algebra classes that I needed to, that I was like, oh, this is actually fun and I'm good at it. And why did I think this was awful? And so I kind of overcame that fear. And it also kind of, I probably has something to do with it. I don't even know. But it was when I moved to the US, because I'm Mexican, I'm from Mexico, and I moved to the US for
Yay.
college. Yes. And so, like, I think it has something to do with almost like the language barrier, where I thought I was a good writer because, they put you in a box. You're either good at math or you good writer, right? There's no in
Mhm.
between. So I thought I was a good writer. And then I moved to the US, and then my English teacher is like, "Oh, your essay sucks. You're such a bad writer." Like, he was like really, really harsh on me. So I was like, oh, who am I? Like, I lost my identity as a creative person. And that's when I noticed that I was getting all A's in math. And I was like, wait,
Uh-huh.
wait a second. Like, what is
Wait.
going on? And so I don't know if it had something to do with the language barrier, or also just like rediscovering it at a new age, when with no one like
Mhm.
judging me, I think. Well, except for the English teacher, but yeah. So
Oh
something,
my god.
yeah, and then, oh, sorry, and then I'm like, long story short, then I
Oh, yeah, 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 I forgot
yeah,
the question.
computer science, right? So the math thing is very important because I think that gave me the confidence to feel like I could do computer science later.
Mhm.
When I found out about it, I was already in college and I watched a documentary about the Pixar founders. And that's when I found out that they were all computer scientists. And I was like, oh, that is so
Oh,
cool. Yeah. Like,
Pixar, as in, like, cartoon Pixar.
yes, the movies, Pixar. And I think, yeah, the very cool documentary. I can't remember the name right now.
Hmm,
I'll send it to you later if you want to share it with everybody. But so
yeah.
basically, it's the documentary about how it started, how it got founded, and I found out they're all computer scientists, and I was like, that is so cool that you can make anything in your imagination with just code. Like, to me,
Right.
that just like blew my mind.
Yeah.
And I looked it up. I read the Wikipedia on what computer science was, and that's when I declared my major for computer science.
Ah, yes! I'm so glad we found you in time. Imagine if that happened later on.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe I don't know what I would be doing, like bad essays, and that's it.
Oh, I love that. And so like to talk about like the math stuff because I'm good at maths, but I'm good at maths on paper, and I still sort of like what's the term? Like I get nervous if somebody asks me what 8 plus 11 is, even though it's really simple maths. I'll just be like brain blank because you're expecting an answer from me, and I just I don't think I'm good at maths. So it really just seeps into your everyday life. And I'm really glad you found out you're amazing at maths and that you've become a computer scientist. Yes.
Yes, yes. I mean, I'm the same way. I still like I freeze. Like I still take out my phone every time I need to calculate a tip or
Same.
anything. I'm like, I'm not gonna do any of that mental calculation stuff. I'm not good at that. But all the other like advanced theoretical
Yeah.
math, oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, give me all
Yeah.
that. Discrete math, linear algebra, all that stuff. Those were my favorite classes. Like,
Oh, I
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
Yeah, say, oh, we are similar. We've got another comment, a
Okay.
question. Yay, we've got a question. Thank you so much. And it says, how do you deal with sexist comments being from ethnic minority backgrounds? So we both are, or
Mhm.
global ethnic majority statistically.
Yeah.
I had a comment thrown at me such as, do you walk behind your husband? Oh my God. Did he give you camels and goats oh my god, and goats to marry you? I was too stunned to actually give a reply. Of course you were too stunned to give a reply. What?
That is awful. So the listener sent that they got that comment. That's awful.
It
So
is.
I guess like, I mean, I've gotten really mean comments too,
Mm.
and I have two stories. I guess not one story, but like
Let me get
one
the
is like,
popcorn out.
yeah. Oh gosh. So like I learned my lesson one time, but like I feel like I usually just don't engage, don't say anything back. These are people
Yeah.
who are projecting insecurities or their own like, misogynistic selves, and all they're doing is exposing themselves online. That is when it's like a comment, like a public comment. Like the
Mm.
DMs are trickier because I mean they're not. It's kind of more like a two-faced thing. Like, oh, I follow you, but also I'm gonna say all these really mean things to you. So like
Yeah.
that's a very interesting type of person. I don't
Yeah.
know where they're coming from. So I just ignore them. I never fight back. I never talk to them because they do not deserve my time or attention or my
Preach.
feelings, or I don't need, I really life is so hard already for me to like make it harder by reading or engaging with those people.
Yeah.
But so I did an experiment once. It was a comment and it was public. It was on one of my posts.
Uh-huh.
This person commented with their handle, with their profile linked to it, their picture, everything.
Confident.
He said something like, your code is trash, girls who program are bad and your code is trash, Stephanie.
Lol.
Like very just direct and straight and personal. And he caught me in those 5 minutes of like, I woke up and I saw it and I got so mad, and I was
Yeah.
like, what the heck, right? I was like, what is this for? So I took a screenshot of the comment and I tweeted it. I was like, well, this person decided to comment this publicly. Here's the kind of comments I get also in DMs, or like, this is the kind of stuff I deal with, every day. And I tweeted it, and I never imagined the tweet would gain traction, a lot of
Mm.
traction. And people were asking me like, who is this? What? And I'm like, I'm not gonna, because I don't think, no, I just took a screen. Yeah, with their handle. The point is, they found him. They found the post. They found the person. They started spamming him with like hate towards that person for
Right.
saying that, and that's something that I also felt really bad about, because like,
Mm.
that's not what I wanted. But of course, I posted it, so that's on me. So it was like it was an interesting post that kept haunting me, because after a week, it kind of like slowed down. He made his profile private, so people couldn't like harass him anymore.
Yeah.
But like, then later I had a panel, a very important panel, and I didn't realize that the moderator had taken a screenshot of the tweet, and they
Oh.
asked me about it in front of all these very like important people. But like, I know why she did it. She's like, this is very important to talk about, this is the kind of stuff that you deal with, and da da da. But I was like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. But it's just
Oh.
like, so like, I guess it depends. Like, that's why I'm like, well, it could always like, if you do something public, it will also haunt you, like, it's gonna come with you. So there's the two sides of the coin.
Yeah. And there's like no right answer really, because different people deal with different things differently, but it's important to understand how much energy that was and that it does follow. So, making that decision while knowing these things is completely fine, but there are things you don't really think about in the moment, right? When you're angry and caught up with all these emotions.
Exactly. So I think, yeah. How do you deal with them?
How do I deal with it?
Yeah.
I never get asked questions on my podcast. I love this.
Yeah. Well, yeah. How do you deal with them? I'd like to know.
um,
Yeah.
so I've been having. It hurts a lot more when it's engineering. For PSA, for people who don't know what I do, I am a belly dancer by night, which blows the brains of some of the people in the engineering industry for some reason. Can't get behind it.
Yeah.
Um, but I get a lot of comments on that, like really horrible comments of death threats, horrible like sexual abuse on in the comments, and horrible homophobia as well. And that maybe like 10 years ago used to affect me, but
Mhm.
right now it really does not phase me at all. Like it makes me wonder, like, it's ridiculous that that we live in the same world,
Yeah.
as these people, but it doesn't phase me at all. But I still do get phased quite a bit by comments that question my engineering skills. And I think that's because I'm still every day having to prove that. Um, and that is,
Mhm.
it's bad. It's bad enough from the public, right? But it's horrible when it's your own institution, when it's your own managers who are in charge of whether or not you progress in your career. And honestly, the I've joined so many companies, and some of the companies I thought, that this is it, because they're building a product that's really fixing the world and helping the people that tech industry ignores. But it's all the same. And I've realized for myself, and that's not for everybody, if I hadn't gone and built my own consultancy and built my own company, I wouldn't still be in engineering.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So
I
you
know.
had to become like solo to keep going, basically.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
me, it's like to achieve what I want to achieve, because I am a
Yeah.
very ambitious person, and there's a lot of women in the industry who are happy, with uh, the career progression opportunities that they have. But I think it's very uncommon to have somebody who looks like me and does the things I do in the industry. So there's obviously being a minority, then there is being a minority within a minority within a minority. And I think that just has a cascading effect. But hey, let's fix the industry and
Yeah.
let's consult on our own.
Good. That's really good.
I know that we're basically out of time. I don't
Oh,
know if you
wow.
wanna do another question or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's
are
do
you
it.
sure?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna ask you about your necklace. Tell me about your necklace because I know you built it. We talked a little bit about this before
Right.
we started
It's really
the
like
live.
it. Honestly, this was like before when the Barbie movie premiered, which by the way I really liked. It's like I don't know. I would like to talk more about that if you can, but
Yeah, of course, of course.
but
We
before
all
that,
love the
like
Barbie movie.
before watching it, I saw that Ryan Gosling wore like literally an E for his wife on the premiere. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. I've never seen like the letter E, my name, like as a Barbie logo type. And so I screenshotted his chest and then I photoshopped, like a trace photoshopped the E of his necklace. I kind of fixed
Uh-huh.
it a little bit. And then I made it into a file so I could like laser cut it. And then I just painted it and that's it. Isn't that
Oh
awesome?
my god,
I
it's
think
so
mine is better than his.
beautiful. I haven't seen his, but yours is stunning. So yeah, yours
Yeah.
is way better, I think.
No, like his is fine. It's just like he 3D printed it, so I think mine is like very superior.
And yours is like handmade by you.
Yeah. I was able to make like what? Like I made like 10 and then I just gave them to some friends. Like I went to an event 2 weeks ago called Open Source for a lot of creators
Yeah,
and
I
makers.
really
It's
wanted to
great.
come.
It's so good. And so I was like, if anyone asked me about it or liked it, I would just give it to them. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so jealous you went to open source and like you make a lot of things. How did you get into, make it from computer scientist to computer scientist plus maker? How did that happen?
That's a great question. I think
Plus show host on HBO Max, everybody, just
right.
FYI, very famous lady.
I think it's like a few layers to this. Like the first one was a lot of curiosity and also access to that kind of information. My coworker slash friend, he knows electronics, so I was curious about it. Like, how do you do this? I want to make this, and I could just ask him, which was
Yeah.
really nice to have someone like that. But then also it's mixed with a layer of I was also looking for a new job. I didn't like my job I was in,
Yeah.
and I was interviewing, and I started making YouTube videos of computer science tutorials because I remembered in college that I knew that I actually knew something if I could explain it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's the scariest place on earth? YouTube. So I
I love it.
yes. So that's why I started making tutorials because I was like, people are just gonna correct me. People are gonna be mean and correct me if I say something wrong. So I gotta make sure I know it so I can explain it and then make a
Wow.
video. And
Uh-huh.
that's how I started doing videos. And it was for an interview with Google, and they gave me like months to study for the interview because those interviews are crazy.
Oh
So
my god.
yeah, there I think I did like the first 3 rounds of interview and the last one was gonna be like, I don't know, like 8 hours I'm sorry, is this my I hope you don't hear that. Sorry.
No, that's okay, you're
Okay.
popular. We all know.
No, I should have closed all my other tabs. Sorry. Anyway, um, the last interview was like 12 hours or 8 hours or whatever how long it was going to be. It was going to be a coding interview, and I had to relearn everything from school because they teach you. I mean, they ask you stuff like that's from school, not stuff that you use at work as much. So I was
Yeah.
studying, I was trying to learn, and I started making tutorials, and that's how I started making YouTube videos. But then there was like an interview with Microsoft, and it was more for like an evangelist. I think, yeah, the role was evangelist.
Oh,
Like
what does
they
that
call it that. I know it sounds so
yeah.
religious. It's like to like basically you sort of like the missions back in the day. You preach about stuff. Well, they have these roles of like preaching about their products, like Microsoft stuff. So, but as an engineer, so like, oh yeah, as an engineer, I like to make apps this way. I like
Yeah.
to blah blah blah. So it was a really cool role, but I wanted to get more into the IoT space. And so that's when I started like playing with electronics. And then I figured I could just, since I was already making videos, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make a video about this little pumpkin droid I made. And that's how I was like, oh wow, I really, really like doing this. And then
Yes!
yes,
Recruit,
yes.
recruit.
And that's when I was like, oh, like forget Microsoft, forget Google, forget the pumpkin droid.
Oh
I
my
want to make a
god.
gingerbread house that's smart.
Yes, I love it. Yes, yes. I love electronics and I'm so happy that, you see the magic of electronics too, right?
Yeah, yeah, I love it. It's just like so. I think for me, like what I like it so much more about just software is like it's so tangent. I can touch it. I can see everything. Like it just feels really good.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it so much. I'm so happy that I chatted with you today, and I'm so happy that
Thank
we
you.
have so much in common. Like I just want to go and have
Yeah,
a cup of tea with you sometime, and
we
maybe
need to talk
open
more
source next week, not next
next
year.
year. Yeah, you have to come. You have to. Oh
It's so
yeah.
expensive.
Yes.
Maybe they can pay for me. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, thank you so much, Stephanie, for
Thank
making
you.
time for us today. I love you so much.
Oh, thank you. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you everybody who tunes in as well. We're
Yeah.
here because of you. So thank you so much. And thank you, Jubaida, for all of your lovely comments and questions. And of course, thank you to Aris Grassroots Education for powering tech and empowering youth and powering this podcast. And I'll see you all in the next episode of Badass Engineers. Thank you, everybody. Bye. Ma salama. Let me end the podcast. We're gonna have to say bye for a long